So Benjamin, I've known you for many years, and I think I know the answer, but for everyone else's benefit, how did you get into the Fish and Wildlife Service?
Well, Joy, I actually started working for the Fish and Wildlife Service as a co-op ed student. I had the lab director for the National Wildlife Health Center actually come to my graduate school and recruit me, and that's how I got started. So I was very fortunate. It allowed me to do some things that I was very interested in, which was research, and that's how I started with the Fish and Wildlife Service.
Benjamin, with all the agencies and academia that you could have gone into, why did you want to work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service?
Well, it's interesting because I first started out thinking that I wanted to be in academia. I thought that I'd be a college professor and write research grants and things like that. So when I had the opportunity to go and actually do things in the field with a prestigious organization like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, it changed my entire perspective. I think the other thing is, quite frankly, is I had the lab director and a couple of his staff that actually came to my university and talked to me about the Fish and Wildlife Service and all the things that they did, because I didn't have a clue. I just thought that I would finish my graduate work and I'd start applying for assistant directorship somewhere or assistant professorship somewhere. So having that opportunity to work for the Fish and Wildlife Service with the refuge system, with all of the species that we have as stewardship responsibility, changed my entire perspective on what I wanted to do. But I'm sure that there are a lot of people that want to know how it is that you started working for the Fish and Wildlife Services.
So I was a product of the old co-op recruitment strategy. So before there was a Pathways, there was a SCEP, and before there was a SCEP, it was a co-op student. So I'm dating myself, I was one of the original co-op students, and oddly enough, I was also in a co-op unit at New Mexico State University.
Oh.
Okay. Benjamin, I know that diversity and inclusion are near and dear to your heart. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts on diversity and inclusion?
Well, I think it's important primarily because I always like to talk about perspectives that are different than your own. I think when you have a diverse, highly trained workforce, you always have the opportunity to bring people together and discuss things that have different perspectives. I know what I think about a situation, and I was trained in a certain way. What I need are people who are trained differently and think differently and see things differently. Because at that point, you can have the best perspective in terms of really what a solution is, and at times understanding the problem itself. Sometimes we kind of gloss over it because we've seen it, we've done it, we know it. But there's always that one instance when somebody that has a diverse background and a different perspective can bring an illusion to a perspective, because all of a sudden they see it differently. And you say, aha, you have that aha moment. And that ability to have diverse people in the equation that talk about things differently, that receive things differently, that think differently, is always a perspective that's necessary in leadership. So with that backdrop, Joy, one of the things that I think is important, and people need to understand this about leadership, share with us how you would choose a particular thing that you specifically could make a difference for the Fish and Wildlife Service.
I think it's partnerships. When I came into the agency, regulation was about a hammer. And fairly long into my career, it became about partnerships. You get more with a carrot than you do a stick. And in the Southwest region, we've really focused on partnerships. The hammer is out. We don't use the hammer anymore. We use the carrot, and we ask people to be our partner and to go through these conservation priorities with us. And that's why we've been so successful. We don't bonk people on the head with a hammer anymore. We give them a carrot. So, trick question, Benjamin. So, what is the single thing that you want people to know about you, or what do you want your legacy to be as your time in the Fish and Wildlife Service?
I'm not sure I have a legacy, but I think if I did, it was just that I tried as much as I could to be true to the things that got me into this industry or this vocation. I tried to be true to making hard decisions about conservation, not from the standpoint of preserving everything, but to have people understand that these resources are here to share. They're here for us to have some stewardship responsibility, and it's here for us to learn. And as we learn, we can make decisions that will make sure that we have these resources that are so important, that define this nation into the future.